See, I've made examples in previous videos on, flat earth and round earth and whatnot. I just want to make it clear, it's not like I really care about these topics at all. It is not the center of my focus and attention. However, I'm going to be making a short clip on this information, okay? Because I noticed that there's people who are extremely for flat earth, and that's fine. That's not even it's not even a debate. I mean, I really don't care for it. However, ask yourself this. We start to say, is the world flat or round? All right? You notice how they also call the people who believe in round earth globe heads, right? They call others flat earthers and whatnot. Like, they just categorize, they give them a title. You get what I'm saying? I don't have none of these titles. I'm not a flat earther and I'm not a globe head. Okay? Now also think about this. You notice how they categorize you as what you are debating the shape of. They'll say, what if the world found out that the world is flat or round? What if the world found out the truth about what they are hiding from you? You notice how you are the world. And as a collective, we are the world. All right? As an individual, you are the world. And as a collective, you're the world. Again, it's a projection from the heart space. You get what I'm saying? When you start to go into certain sciences like quantum science and quantum mechanics, all right, when you start to look at it from this scientific study, you're going to start to see that it could be a potential, it's probably a wave, and then it particleizes once it's observed into existence. However, it's a potential, which can be, it's an illusion. You hear what I'm saying? See, there's two people arguing also. It could be vegan and a carnivore, right? But when you get to the real root of everything, they're both pretty much arguing about the same fucking thing. They're just polarized to an idea, okay? And when you're polarized to an idea and not open-minded to anything else, it's a religion. And that's why I say it's a religion. Because they look at nothing from what the opposition is showing you, okay? Now, when you start to hear, for example, meat eaters and debating vegans will say it's okay to eat plants because they don't have a brain, they don't have a heart, right? And they're not as complex as like mammals or, anything that has a heart or a brain, right? But when you look at plants actually have an intelligence, but they also have a brain. It's just that the brain is not here. You get what I'm saying? The brain is somewhere else. Now you start to look at you as the individual, right? Like a radio, right? You have some things happening where you hear voices and people talking through a box. A radio, you can open it. You won't find a man talking in there. You just hear it coming out based on a broadcast, right? Your body is basically, when you open it up, consists of cells, all right, and two major fluids, and that's it. That's all your body consists of. Trillions of cells and two major fluids. Yet we have something expressing itself through this vessel, right? So if I open, let's say if I try to open my body up, I'm not going to find anything that can logically explain what is actually communicating with you. So plants, for example, I want you to think about this though. And I'm using these examples just to kind of get into the area of how I look at what flat earthers and globe heads are actually arguing about. But vegans say that plants have no brain. The brain is somewhere else. So when people perform plant medicines, right, you have altered states of consciousness, right? Now, I want you to understand this. People say, I'm having an altered state of consciousness. Who is having that? Are you as the individual having that experience, or is the plant having the experience through you? Are you experiencing the plant, or is the plant experiencing you? Because did you stop to think that you may be the mind or the brain of these plants? The plants are green, right? You have a heart chakra that's green. The plants have the intelligence without eyes and a brain to know to lean toward the sun, right? Because it is getting life and light from the sun, right? So you, being a human and looking at everything from a human perspective, will never be able to figure this out unless you become Superman. And how do you become Superman? Okay? So let's talk about this very carefully. Superman flies. I bet you if he left Earth, he can see if the Earth is flat or round, right? Because he's done it. He's left the Earth and circled around it and turned back time because of how fast he flew counter the rotation that it was actually turning in. So he spun it backwards and it turned back time, right? That's what happened in a movie, right? But it's just a movie. He has X-ray vision and he's indestructible, basically. He's the Man of Steel, right? So Superman has X-ray vision. You can see through things if you can actually look at it beyond these blinds that you have, okay? So you can see through things. Superman's weakness, though, is kryptonite, okay? Kryptonite is green. It's a rock that comes from his home planet. Why is that his weakness? Don't look at Superman as something outside of you. Look at it as, because people say, I'm trying to communicate with my higher self. You are your higher self. Your higher self is not external to you. You are that higher self. So look at Superman as your higher self, as an example. Because Superman is the symbolism of Christ. I've already made this in previous videos. So if Superman's the symbolism of Christ, Superman, okay, his weakness is the green rock that he comes from. You ever hear you as a human, the quote, home is where the heart is? Your heart is a projection of what you're experiencing in your outside world, right? What does this have to do with you? Well, as a human, when you attach yourself to certain things or emotionally attach yourself to certain things, they play on your heartstrings, you become emotionally attached to it. You become involved with it. See, and I've mentioned this in my oldest videos, the most powerful and most empowered state is neutrality for that reason. Because you escape humanity through neutrality. Why? Nature is also green. Nature, though, is neutral. Right? Nature is neutral. And I'm going to make a video on what you actually are as far as artificial intelligence and the whole alien invasion. That'll be my next video. But nature is neutral. Are you neutral? Neutral, natural. Love is happening when I walk my garden. Love is happening when I walk the forest. What is love, though? Is it what you're taught in movies? See, love is a building frequency. Not to say that anything destructive is bad, because you tear shit down to build it back up. If I have a destructive relationship, right, I decide to either harmonize it, neutralize it, by putting my ego aside, my humanity, or if it's something that I know is not serving me, I can just decide to disengage, right? But you have to know how to cut those cords. When you die, your heart must be light as a feather. That heart is the green chakra, right? And when it's heavy and tied down, you're weighed down, you're anchored here, you ain't going nowhere. So your attachments to humanity, to anything human, is your weakness, is your kryptonite. The plants are green. Superman's superpowers come from the sun, though, right? So if your heart space is here and the plants know to lean toward the sun, your heart, you have your solar plexus that's right underneath. It looks backwards, though. But in reality, you see your world backwards. Only your brain makes it right side up for you. In space, there is no direction. Your body's made of water. So, you got, let's talk about Masons real quick. I mean, you got them going by degrees, right? Everything up until 32 is solid. Anything above 32 starts to liquefy until you get them really, really high in temperature or vibration, and you start to maybe even turn it into vapor. You've got 33 vertebrae. Everything that you're experiencing outside is all your body. So unless you're exploring your vessel and your actual space, okay, you're going to have an understanding of what's happening outside. But you got to be Superman. And how do you become Superman? I can tell you how to become Superman. Okay? Faith, belief, and imagination. So all the information that you've gathered to come to a conclusion that the world is flat has came from sources outside of you. All right? That you just happen to resonate with. But is that actual truth? And does it actually matter? That's the whole thing. Does it even matter? If the whole world became vegan, because these are the two main debates I always see online, is flat earth, round earth, veganism, carnivore, abortion, non-abortion. You see all these debates, right? But I can get into another video on the abortion one though. Okay? Because that one goes into a little bit of a rabbit hole as well. But it all ties down. It all comes down to morality though, right? It all comes down to what you actually are and what's going on in the space you're in at the moment, right now. Because we could talk about, oh, but history showed us this, history showed us that. You see, history's in the past. It doesn't exist. Only thing that exists is what's happening right now in your now moment. See, this is why I made the example in my previous videos about past lives. You leave your empowered state when you try to go in the past to figure out what you are. You are all these things. You may tap into a fucking memory, which you've been all these things though. You've been all these things. You could tap into a memory and then say, I was that, and you categorize and associate with that. The key is not to put labels on yourself. Whatever happened, I could have been a millionaire, I could have been broke. I'm not any of those things. Those were just experiences. But memories surface up, right? Memory, you're made of water. And the memories, once you start to, you give a signal to your subconscious mind that you want to remember something, right? Remember, then what do? It starts to solidify and it will surface for you. You know what I'm saying? It will surface for you. You just gain access to it. It's not that it went anywhere. You just gain access to these things. Memory is water and light, right? You are the storehouse of memories. And then I'm going to leave it at this, because this is where I'm going to tie in the video on the alien invasion. But you are the storehouse of memories, the ancient library. That's what your body is. Because you are all the things. And you can look at it from a scientific point of view. All the viruses, all the bacteria, everything that you know of outside of you is residing within you and in your space and in the things that you're consuming. Now, the things you consume as far as information from other people, those are mind viruses. And they will change and genetically modify your reality from the inside out. Because it's all, the mind is the government for the trillions of cells that you are made of. You're not one individual. You're a community of trillions of cells. And they are governed by the mind, which is all going by how you perceive your reality. So if you look outside of yourself and you see what is the mind, it's the government that you see. That's why they push the media, the news and all that, because they manage how you perceive life based on algorithms, patterns. If you don't know how to get out of patterns or recognize your patterns, then you'll stay in the same fucking loop. Disconnecting, right? You're going to start to, it's basically where you start to have your light. Can you see in the dark? And I'm not talking about it in physical form. But anyway, light can be looked at in many different ways. Lightweight, which means you're lighter than a feather, right? Light body, right? Lighter in the shade, but light could be information as well. And that light can actually disintegrate all the vampires and parasites in your body as well. In a way, knowledge could be power, but it is also not power. If I find another person in my reality, I'm interacting with another constellation, another solar system, another universe. One verse, they emit one song. Their body consists of trillions of cells, all right, and two major fluids, right? and then they have these major organs. They're all brains. If they're in harmony, they emit a frequency. They are one song. It could be a distorted song or a harmonious song. Either way, there's still one verse, one individual song. Because everything is playing in harmony. Energy, frequency, vibration. The aura that surrounds their space is bacterial clouds. No different than when you look up in the sky, you see stars. Right? And where does the word influenza come from? Influence from the stars. Right? We'll talk soon.